Okay. Okay. Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you can see the mess in my room, I'm so sorry. But today I'm gonna be filming a summer TBR. These are all the books I'm gonna read this summer. I plan on reading a lot this summer unless I enter a slump, which I don't want to manifest that, but there is a possibility it could happen. But I'm done with school in 2 weeks, so I have a huge TBR of books that I just want to read. So the way I'm gonna do this, I'm just gonna tell you the books that I'm reading. If I know a little bit about it, I'll tell you a bit about it, but a lot of these have been in hauls before on my channel, so if you want to learn more, then just go watch this video. Shameless plug. So I'm gonna separate this out into different genres really quickly, and then I'll get back to you. Uh-oh, my iPad just fell. Let's move. Okay, genres. Okay, so I separated it out. I have a memoir, I have literary fiction, fantasy, romance, and mystery. That's kind of like where I'm at right now. So I'm gonna start off with my one memoir, and this is Arbitrary Stupid Goal by Tamara Shopsin. I read Laser Writer 2 by her, and that is probably one of my favorite literary fiction books. It's just so cute. I love her writing. I love the way the story was told, and it seems like, from what I can grasp at, this memoir is written in a similar format, even though it is about her life and it's not fiction. I think I would still enjoy it just because I love the way she wrote Laser Writer. So I have this as my one memoir, and I read the first couple pages and it seems really good, so this will be my one memoir. Moving on to a literary fiction, I have The Family Fang by Kevin Wilson. This is supposed to be similar to The Royal Tenenbaums. Like, that was the vibe that I got from reading it. These kids are like trying to create their own identity separate from their parents who are super successful, and then something happens and they end up all under the same roof again, still trying to navigate their lives. So very similar to The Royal Tenenbaums, which is what I wanted when I looked up books similar to The Royal Tenenbaums, which is a movie by Wes Anderson. And I have another book that's supposed to be similar to The Grand Budapest Hotel that I really want to read soon, but I heard that this is kind of funny and it's supposed to be like a comedic literary fiction book, so I have this on my list. Next I have Whatever by Michel. I really don't know too much about what this is about. I read the first chapter and I was confused as heck, but I bought it because the Washington Post said that this boy needs serious therapy, and I thought that was so funny, so I picked it up. It does have a bit of nudity. It's not like full, it's just like, I don't think I can show this on the internet, so yeah, YouTube might take it out, but it's actually a cigarette pack, which is kind of funny. And I don't know, I just have it as like a short book to read, maybe like a beach read, who knows, maybe it's not for the beach, but I just got it, adding it to the list because it's short and easy. This is Bonjour by Francoise Sagan. Francoise Sagan. All these are French and I can't pronounce the name. I can't do that in English, to be fair. But this is supposed to be like a coming of age story. It's about this girl that goes to live with her aunt. Lying. She lives with her father. And yeah, for a 2-month summer vacation outside of Paris, and she meets this law student and she kind of falls in love with them, and this is about her, you know, plotting how to spend more time with the law student while also being discreet because her mother's best friend shows up, so she's trying to hide it from both her father, who she's staying with, and her mother's best friend. Cute short read. I've heard good things about this, and I just figured that this should be just a nice easy book that I read over the summer. I also have Pure Color. I really cannot explain this book to you. This is by Sheila Heti. Sheila Heti. I got like 40 pages into it before I DNF'd it because I left it at home, so I probably am gonna pick this book back up. It wasn't bad when I was reading it. I was actually pretty into it. I remember she likes this lamp. That's pretty much it. So hopefully when I pick it back up, I'm not like doing / reading multiple things at once, because then I like tend to get out of a book, and I really like when I sit down and read a book front cover to cover, because I feel like I'm more engrossed in it and I can remember the story a lot better. But sometimes it doesn't happen that way. Like sometimes when I'm reading a book and it's just too much to me, and there's too much at stake, like I have to pick up another book because I can't. Like that's how I am with Magnolia Parks, but Magnolia Parks will always stay on my mind. Like there's literally nothing else that occupies my brain other than that series, so I can read multiple books at once because it'll always be on my mind no matter what I'm reading. So I need to get back to it. I have like 100 pages left. I have this is my last literary fiction, keeping it light. And the next category, which is fantasy. Fantasy. I have a couple more fantasy books that I want to get that I don't have here, but I'm gonna try and read off my physical TBR first, and then I'm assuming if my parents love me, which they do, they'll get me some books for my birthday, so I might put some fantasy books on there. like on my list. But I have the second and third book of the ACOTAR series because I need to keep going with it. I've heard that this is a lot of people's favorite book, and I know that this one's a little bit slower because it's mostly about the war, ACA war. But I did want to pick this book up. It's just intimidating, and I'm tired of big books. So I haven't picked it up yet. Also, I'm in the middle of finals, so whenever I pick up a book, like, I don't want it to be something this size because then I feel crappy when I don't get through it enough. Even though, like, I'm reading 30 pages. 30 pages isn't putting a dent in this if I read 30 pages a day. So I like to read, like, smaller books during this time period. So yeah, both of these books are pretty thick, and at first I thought the blue book, which I think is a Court of not Mist and Fury, Court of, it's on my shelf, A Court of Frost and Starlight or something, I thought that that was the third book. So I was like, okay, let me get through this so I can read that, and I'll be on the fourth book by the time I'm done finals. But the next two books are 1,000 pages combined, so I'm not doing that. Those are all my fantasy. I might start the Zodiac Academy. I have the physical copy. I didn't pick it up, but like, I have it, it's over there. But for now, I'm gonna keep this light at my only fantasy right now. Yeah. Okay, moving on to romance, which is like my second biggest category. Actually, I have the same amount roughly. I have one more romance book than I do literary fiction, which is good, I think. Two more? Yeah, one more, so this is good. The first one I have is Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. I have heard so many good things about this book. It's childhood friends and lovers. Something happens, they stop talking for a while, and then over the time, like, as the book progresses, like, you learn why. It's, I think, a dual timeline. It goes past and present, so I'm excited to read this. I really don't know too much about it other than what I just told you, and I kind of want to go into it blind. I've heard a lot of good things about it, but I don't want to be like, I don't want to overhype it in my head just in case I don't like it, but I have a feeling I will because, yeah, I trust Sarah Caroli with my life. Next I have Love in Color by Bolu Babalola. By Bolu Babalola. Honey and Spice is my favorite book of all time. Actually, I keep saying that, but then whenever I say that, I'm like, no, it's Magnolia Parks. And then I'm like, no, it can't be because it's 7 Days in June. So those three are at a tie for #1. So I picked up another book by her because I just loved her writing so much. And it's always just so much more than a romance. Like, I feel like you're in it for the plot, you're in it for the characters. It's kind of like a found family situation. That's at least what it was like with Honey and Spice. So I picked up Love in Color, and I'm excited to read it. Mythical tales from around the world retold. Oh, is this not romance? Oh my gosh, it's a vibrant collection of love stories retelling myths, folk tales, and histories from around the world. Interesting. Well, in general, so is this more literary fiction or romance? It just says fiction at the bottom. This might be another fiction book. I'm gonna go put it over there. But regardless, I love her writing so much, so I'm sure I'll like this anyway. And yeah, it's definitely on my list. Next! Okay, so Tia Williams just posted. I know this, I'm honestly gonna probably read this and skip past a lot of books that I have on my immediate TBR right now because there's a movie with Keith Powers in it. Keith Powers is in it, so I have to read it, duh. This is about a fashion editor. She gets dumped by her longtime fiance, and she's kind of at a point in life where she's like, I don't know what I'm doing. She gets hired by this fashion site, and she starts working with this 20-year-old videographer, aka Keith Powers. And it's what's nice that since I haven't read it yet, and the movie's already been filmed and it's coming out this month, I can envision who the characters are, which is so nice. So I'm obviously gonna imagine the main character is me, but for the plot, I'll imagine Guy as Keith Powers. Because I love it's another romance. I'm so excited. I loved 7 Days in June by Tia Williams, so I, you know, expect to love this just as much. And I really, again, love her writing. 7 Days in June was such a good book. So much more than the plot, the found family, everything. I loved when she talked about her kid in it. Her kid was so witty and stuff. Like, whenever, I just need to go back and reread that book. Like, honestly, it was one of those books where it's like, there's no way that this is a fictional world and that this doesn't exist. Like, while you're reading it, it feels like you're in the room with them, and I miss that feeling. So hopefully this book will give me the same feelings. I don't know. It doesn't matter because I'm watching the movie anyway. I don't care. I'm so excited. Okay, the next two books I am pretty excited about, actually. I have Beach Read by Emily Henry, and I'm going to the beach in June, so shout out. I'm going to the Caribbean, so I'm bringing this with me because I have not read it and it's been on my shelf the longest. This, ever since I got back into reading, I started reading, what was it, last February. I read I Got the Christie and Then There Were None, and then around April, so around this time last year, I would say, I bought this book. So I know it's been on my shelf for over a year. I haven't read it because this is gonna sound so stupid, but I literally am allergic to hype. I know other people share the same sentiment, and I don't mean to be snooty, like I don't like doing what everyone else is doing. I just physically can't. Like, as much as I want to try and like read or watch something that everyone else is watching, I can't get into it for some reason, and it's like an unknown part of my brain. I cannot begin to explain why I'm that way, but I don't know. So I mean, her hype has died. I can't say her hype has died down a little bit, but the hype around this book has died down a little bit. So although I know it's everyone's like favorite book, I think that's also another thing, is like I hate getting into things while they're popular, because if I don't like it, then I feel some type of way about it. And yeah, so her new book Happy Place came out, and I feel like this summer I'm reading it. I have to. I'm forcing myself. I know that this is about two writers. One writes literary fiction, the other one writes romance, I believe. Yeah, and she moves to the beach house that her dad owned to clean it out after he died, and they end up meeting up, and they're rivals actually. So they're gonna, what am I saying? Oh, they're both in a creative rut. Interesting. So they're both trying to get each other out of this creative rut that they have. And I believe at some point they both try to write in each other's genres. Is that book lovers? But I have to read it. Honestly, it's a rite of passage book. Same with like A Little Life, but I'm terrified of that book because I see people crying while they're reading it, and I'm like, no, actually, I don't want to do that to my brain. And the last book I have, which will honestly, depending, whenever Jessa announces the last Magnolia Parks book, that's when I'll read this one. So hopefully she'll announce it over the summer, like maybe in July. I know it was originally supposed to come out in July, but I don't see that happening since she just finished the book, and today is May 10th. I think she finished it yesterday. So I will pick that up around that time, because I cannot be without this series for too long, and I've timed it out so that I would finish it right when the last book for Magnolia Parks came out. But she didn't announce it, and I was getting a little antsy, so I just read the second Magnolia Parks book. Like, I just picked it up last month, so I've been reading it slowly because I've been dragging it out. I don't want to exit that world, and I can't believe this is the last Magnolia book. It's okay. But this is Daisy Hates the Great Undoing, and I've seen tears over this book. Like, this is the only series that I'll like allow myself to cry over characters. That's not true. I usually end up crying regardless, but I've seen tears over this. I've been putting it off. Like, I've been putting it off, but also I'm not done with Magnolia Parks 3, and the main reason I've been dragging that out is because I don't want to get to this. I just don't want it to be over. I think that's what it is. I just don't want it to be over, and hopefully everything works out. Hopefully everything works out. I don't know. But yeah, I'm reading this. I just go and rant. If there's a jump cut, I just ranted so much. I'm so sorry. But Daisy Hates the Great Undoing will probably be my great undoing. Okay. The last genre I have is like mystery thriller. The first one I have is The Guest List by Lucy Foley. I also want to read The Paris Apartment. I have it on my shelf. It's just on the bottom shelf, and I didn't feel like grabbing it. I have The Guest List. I know this is like kind of similar to And Then There Are None. I might just be lying to you actually. But it's an exclusive wedding on a remote Irish island. The bride, the plus one, the best man, the wedding planner, the bridesmaid, all have a secret, all have a motive, but only one is a murderer. Yeah. I've heard that a lot of people guess her endings, but you know what? Chapters are short. I heard she has really engaging writing. So that's all I need in a thriller, mystery thriller. It's just, I need to be engaged. And even if I guess it, as long as like you keep me on my toes, then I'll read. Like, Alice Feeney has some of the best writing for thrillers. Like, each chapter is a cliffhanger. Like, I read her book so fast. I read Rock, Paper, Scissors. So I want to read Sometimes I Lie, and I also want to read His and Hers, which are available in Kindle Unlimited, which is why I don't have them in this pile, because I can just read that whenever. But yeah. And then I have Dunk Baby, which is a new book. I got this at McNally, but it's now in Barnes & Noble, which is cool. It's a workplace thriller about a bunch of low-wage employees plotting against their managers. It takes place in a mall. I haven't heard anything about this book, but it seems interesting, so I picked it up. I honestly don't really know too much about what's going on. I have no idea, but it just seems like it's supposed to be like kind of like a comedic thriller, so I figured this would be perfect for the summertime. It's nice, lighthearted, it's a pretty cover, and yeah. And the last book, I have Supermarket, which is honestly, I started reading it and I can already tell it's going to be a little bit of a darker murder mystery, but I'll read the back. Depressed, recently dumped, and living in his mom's house, the supermarket was supposed to change all that. An ordinary job and a steady check. Work isn't work when it's saving you from yourself. Arriving to work one day to a crime scene, Flynn's world collapses as the secret of his tortured mind are revealed. And Flynn doesn't want to go looking for answers at the supermarket because something there seems to be looking for him. A darkly funny psychological thriller. Supermarket is a gripping exploration into the madness and creativity. Who knew you could find sex, drugs, and murder all in aisle 9? Okay, this author's Bobby Hall, but tell me that isn't logic. Tell me that isn't logic. That's logic. You're lying to me. Is Logic's real name Bobby Hall? Is it? I can't. Lucky for you guys, I can't find my phone. But that is it for today's video. This is my summer TBR. As I'm going through each month, I'll still do a monthly TBR hopefully, because sometimes I film it and then I don't post it at the beginning of the month, so I'm just like, why even post it at this point? The month's almost over. So I will do my best over the summer to make that a priority of filming at the beginning of every month. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Please like and subscribe. I'm almost at 200 subscribers, which is crazy to me. So yeah, that is it. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.